Well, good morning, lovely ladies and gentlemen. Steve Collins coming to you from beautiful San Antonio, Texas, the second most powerful, passionate, purposeful coach and speaker in the world. Yesterday's video hit home for a lot of people, and it was the first video that I could not watch. You see, just like when you go see maybe Elton John in concert, and Elton John starts playing, you think, what an amazing deal. You realize it's not about the piano, it's about Elton John. And you realize that when Stevie Ray Vaughan would play the guitar, it's not about the guitar, it's about Stevie Ray Vaughan. Well, I, in humility, just recognize that I raise my hand every day to be an instrument that the good Lord can use to say and do what He chooses to say and do, because we serve a living God, guys. So today is part 2. This is going to be a tough one. This is going to be a part 2. This one's going to be a tough one. Yesterday was a lot of encouragement, and now I know why it was built on encouragement. It's because today is a tough one. Now, ladies, just so you know, if you are moms, you realize that I am driving. You know, I do have 7 kids. Okay, I've been married 23 years. I have 7 kids. It's my second marriage. Got married in high school when my girlfriend got pregnant, and we tried that for about a year, went through the divorce thing, and it was through that divorce that led me down a path where I had been using drugs since the age of 13, that ultimately led me to making decisions that placed me in the Texas State Hospital, or the loony bin as some people would call it, dead and dying, a drug addict, suicidal, did not want to live, did not want anything to do with this life, and knew that I was a complete wreck and failure as a human being on all levels, as a father, as a husband, as a son, as a brother, as a cousin, as a nephew, you know, a worker. I was a complete and total 100% failure in this thing called life, and that's where my journey began 28 years ago at the age of 20 years old. So I do remember the break in that relationship, and I do remember the pain, and I do remember knowing that I had a child that was not going to be raised in a traditional fashion, and the guilt and shame was just overwhelming. So the reason and I just say that, moms, if you see me driving, you know, the thing is, driving with 6 kids and 4 teenagers is hard. I'm literally stopped. I just want everybody to be at peace so you're not distracted. Look, I'm stopped. There's there's about a 9-mile stretch of road that I drive every morning on the way to work, and I'm going about 1 mile an hour. So this, I don't suggest anybody else do this unless you're ridiculously insane of a driver. I've been driving motorcycles since 3, race cars at 15. I mean, driving's my thing, so this is very safe for me, not for everybody else. Single moms, part 2. I'm just going to be very, very clear with you. The number one task that I'm challenging you to address today, and to not let another day go without making the intentional decision to decide to do this. There's no other task for your children and for yourself. There's no other challenge for your children and for yourself that will have a greater impact than what I'm going to challenge you to consider doing. And there's no more difficult task. And I will tell you part of my story so that you can understand where I'm coming from this. Shortly after that bout in the state hospital, I remember detoxing on a gurney from cocaine next to a guy who was detoxing from heroin, who was throwing up on the ground and hot tears down my face because I knew I was less than a worthless human being. I was a liability. And I prayed a very simple prayer. God, if you're really there, I know one thing. I know that I am the complete opposite of everything you intended for a human being to ever become, and I don't want to live. And yet, if you can help me, my life is yours forever. And I heard nothing, experienced nothing, and went into deep despair. And it wasn't until about a month later that I ran into a guy that shared the story of Jesus this Holy Week, by the way, going up to Easter with me. And I gave my life to the Lord and joined a study group. And in that study group, I had the opportunity to tell my story. You see, I had given my life to God, and I had made a decision to begin living a new way, and yet I still had the scars and the wounds from that relationship that broke up, and I still had the constant daily reminder of my daughter being out there in the world with her mom, who is now several states away, and some stuff had gone on. I'm not going to be specific. Some stuff had gone on that in my heart caused me to have a tremendous amount of hatred and anger towards my ex and another gentleman. And in that Bible study that night, when I told my story, the Bible study guy came up to me afterwards and he said, the first course of business, Steve, in you beginning this new life is to forgive all parties involved. Well, then precious little words came out of my mouth that rhyme with duck and a little ewe lamb, and I all kinds of things came out of my mouth that reminded everybody how fresh I was into this God thing, because I was furious at the concept of forgiving anyone that I felt did me wrong or hurt me or broke my trust or whatever. It was infuriating to me. And it took some time for me to step into that conversation. Now, he was a Bible study guy. He wasn't a coach or a speaker or a trainer. And so I'm going to share with you this morning, that challenge that I challenge you is to really examine your heart and to make a decision today to forgive the guy or guys that hurt you. And listen now to what I'm going to say. Forgiveness does not mean I'm now okay with what they did. Forgiveness does not mean we are cool now. Forgiveness does not mean I feel better about it. Forgiveness does not mean I no longer feel pain when I think about it. Forgiveness does not mean, I finally come to this place where I see where you came from. No. Forgiveness does not mean any of that. Forgiveness does not mean that we're hunky-dory and now we can go have ice cream with the kids thing. Forgiveness does not mean any of that. Forgiveness is a spiritual decision, much like love. People say, well, I'm getting a divorce because I fell out of love. Well, that's like American love. In the Greek, when you break down love, there were actually 3 different types. There was agape love, the love of God, which is unconditional. There was phileo love, which is like brotherly friendship love, friend love. And then there was eros, which is that romantic love. And so in this case, when we talk about love in its truest form, in the agape, the love of God that is unconditional, understand this, that love is unconditional. It is a decision. It is a choice. It is a type of love you have for your child. Your love doesn't waver for your child back and forth based on how good they are, how their behavior is. Now, they may have consequences for their choices, and yet you love your kids like crazy unconditionally because you know what that love is. There's never a day when you're going to go to your kids' elementary school and tell the principal, hey, I'm just not in love with her anymore. So y'all can figure out what to do with little Macy because I'm just not in love with her anymore. You're never going to have that day. So you understand the type of love I'm talking about. That love is a decision and a choice. Forgiveness is a decision and a choice. Because the best poignant story I can give you in regards to unforgiveness, it's like all this anger and frustration and bitterness that's maybe even under the surface. Maybe it's not as manifest as you might. Well, I'm not as bad as Mary over there. Mary really hates her ex. I'm cool. At least I don't say anything in front of the kids. I'm going into your heart today, guys. I'm going to go deep into the heart part where you can be sitting down on the outside, but you're really standing up on the inside because you really haven't forgiven. This is a spiritual decision, guys. This isn't a feeling thing, and this is what I want you to understand. And I know how hard this is to even have the conversation with you about it, because I remember how hard it was for me in the midst of it. Unforgiveness is like taking the poison that you want to kill him with, but you drink it yourself, waiting for him to die. Get a picture of that. Unforgiveness is like having poison that you drink yourself waiting for him to die. It's not going to happen. It's just going to hurt you. It keeps you from being able to receive a full embodiment of that love of God that will empower you to truly love your children and be as fruitful as a woman as you can be in this life for your kids, for your friends, for yourself, and who you really want to be. So my challenge to you today is, for the men who have hurt you, even intentionally, your health spiritually and even physically is tied to your ability to make a decision to forgive and to release and to let go. Now, by the way, because this is a decision, this isn't a one-time thing that you never struggle with. It is something that you declare again and again and again, and it sounds something like this. When the thought comes up, or when he does something stupid or says something stupid or is mean to the kids or something, you just go, you know what? It's best for my babies for me to let this go. And you're not telling him. I'm saying this is in your heart, a conversation. I just let it go. I forgive and let it go. I'm not going to let any bitterness build up in me that's going to affect my babies, that's going to affect me in my work, going to affect me in my relationship. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let this go, and I've forgiven him. I've forgiven him, and I'm going to continue to forgive. And then it grows into, now this is really the hard part, then it grows into blessing him. You see, what good is it when we're nice to those people who are nice to us? And what good is it when we're sweet to the people who are sweet to us? Anybody can do that. But as you evolve, I'm giving you the end game. The end game is this. Lord, bless him. Help him. Fix him. Work on all that stuff that created issues for us. Just bless him, Lord. Because you know what? The greatest gift you can give your children, besides forgiving the person that hurt you and them, is having that person actually mature and grow up and become responsible and change, because that's always going to be your baby's daddy. You know, that's always going to be if it goes bad with daddy, that breaks kids' hearts. If things go better for daddy. Now, why do I say all this? Well, I don't, I know the feelings. Trust me, I understand how challenging and complicated this is, and I hope you can respect the fact that this is not an easy conversation for me to have. It is one of the most important conversations you are ever going to listen to as a single mom. Your spiritual development for your babies, your example to them of your unconditional love, you can only pour out that unconditional love long term if you're receiving that unconditional love. And unforgiveness and bitterness will block that from your life. It will cause bitterness to come up. It'll cause you to get wrinkles way too early. It'll cause you to be stressed out, frustrated, and drink way too much wine. It'll just mess with you because it doesn't go away. So here's my charge and challenge to you. If you are waiting for him to change or to ask for forgiveness, you will never do it. If you're waiting to feel okay with what he did to you, you're never going to do it. If you're waiting for something external to happen for you to be ready, it's not going to happen. This is a decision that you make as a mighty woman of God, as a mighty woman of faith, who is a powerful, strong, incredible lioness who really wants to do good for your kids. You see, you can be doing all the little steps and checking off your little to-do boxes for your kiddos, but you see, your spirit is alive, and those kids connect with your spirit, and they will get the slime on them of bitterness that comes like a root and spreads out to your kids. Whether you want to accept that or not, I'm being real with you. It will affect your children no matter how well you're checking your to-do list box off. So my charge and challenge to you, out of a spirit of love, out of a fatherly heart, is forgive by making a decision. Release them, let them go by making a decision. And bless. When you're ready, you bless, because knowing that you may be the only person that prays for that fool. You know what I mean? You may be the only person that's his hope that your children's daddy can get his stuff together. So what I'm going to say to you today is this. My challenge to you single moms is this. I blessed you yesterday. I spoke life yesterday. I encouraged you yesterday. And today I'm saying, okay, let's do the heavy lifting. Today, the heavy lifting is this. Forgiveness is not a feeling. Forgiveness is not an emotion. Forgiveness is not earned by this dude or these dudes. Forgiveness is a decision that you make yourself to release and set yourself and your children free from the bondage and the bitterness that comes from always having the book open to that chapter of when the wrong was done to you. And I'm going to end on this. You guys know this is Holy Week. We're leading up into Easter. No matter what faith you may be, almost everybody's heard the Lord's Prayer. A lot of people miss this one part of the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us. You forgive us where we screwed up, as we forgive those who screwed up against us. Okay, now what is that? That is a conditional statement. That is saying, the way that I'm forgiving others, forgive me. Then in the red letters, when Jesus is talking in the other Gospels, he literally makes it clear. He said, if you don't forgive men when they sin against you, your Heavenly Father ain't going to forgive you when you sin against him. And guess what? I don't know about y'all, but I sin a lot. I make mistakes a lot. In order for me to receive that constant forgiveness, I have to walk in constant forgiveness as a choice. Not because I'm cool with what people do or say or act or be acting a fool and crazy. I understand forgiveness now is a way for me to clear out the nasty baggage, clear out the nasty garbage. Has one of your kids ever left like a yogurt or like milk in the back of your car over the weekend with the doors shut, and you come in Monday and you just want to throw up? That's what unforgiveness is like in your life. It stinks like that kind of funk, and it will mess you up and everybody around you. You may not even see it. So my desire today is to help you to recognize that you can take out that baggage as a decision and as a choice, not because you're okay with it, not because you're okay with them, not because you don't feel the pain anymore, not because you don't have those memories, not because they deserve it. Forgiveness is a decision that you make. It's a spiritual decision based on your understanding of your need for forgiveness and the grace you want for you. And I know this is a tall order, and I pray God give you the grace to do it. So Father, I bless these single mamas out here today, and I ask that you give them the power and the grace to make this incredibly, excruciatingly painful choice to do the right thing for them and their children, by sacrificing their sense that they have the right to make this other person pay for the rest of their life. By laying that revenge and that desire to pay back and see them suffer what they suffered, that you would honor them today, Father, as they lay that sense of the right to do that on the altar of forgiveness, and they burn it up, so that they may receive your love and your blessings and your power freely to be truly free mothers for their babies and women in this world. And I ask it all in the name above every name, the name of Jesus. Y'all have a great day, guys.